Hello, Gordon.
Hey, Jeremy, you do.
Oh, I like that smile. It's been a while. It's good to
Uh,
see you.
it has been. You're doing well.
I'm doing great. How are you?
Better than I deserve.
Okay, well, I can identify with that, I guess.
I see Vic on there. Hi, Vic.
Looks like
Didn't hear
he's
him.
yeah, he's connecting to the audio. Maybe he doesn't
Okay.
hear us yet. Can't hear you. Oh, you know what? I can. Thought I could prompt him to connect.
He may be using his phone. I think he did recently.
Oh, is that right? Let me see here. Yeah, the functionality, it's been a while since I've zoomed, and the functionality of this free account, they seems like they keep stripping more and more from what's free.
Right.
Wait, how do I? We can't hear you, Vic. Um, okay, let's try again.
Can you hear me now, Jeremy?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Well,
Hello.
good seeing you. I haven't seen
Hey,
you for a while.
I I know. I was just telling Gordon it's been a while since I've zoomed, period, and it seems like the free version of Zoom keeps getting stripped of functionality. They entice you in the beginning, and then they start charging and upping the rates for things, just like they do with television and well, just
Sure,
about everything else, I guess.
sure. Yeah. Gordon, are you on here?
I'm here. Yes. Can you hear me?
I thought I saw you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I did not receive that invitation, Vic. So if you want to send me that mailing address, I'll send a check in.
Okay. All right. You know the date and everything?
I believe
September
so. Yes.
30th. It starts at 3:30
Okay.
in the afternoon. Okay, I'll get that. I'm not sure I have your address, though, Gordon. I'm not sure.
I'll send it to you.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that.
Yeah, sometime before that, I'd like to talk to you about the logistics. I'm just wondering if it wouldn't make more sense for me to come to your place and then ride with you to English and back.
That might make sense. Yeah. That way
And
you,
and I don't know if Della would want to make that trip or not. We might ask her.
yeah, that'd be okay. Ask her.
All the remaining members of the class of 52.
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah.
And what is this for? Well, this isn't the reunion, is it? When the reunion usually in August, July or August?
This is the all class reunion. It's
Oh, the hall class.
just a quick dinner for all classes.
Yeah.
Super.
Since, since English was such a small school, I think when we were in school, there was something short 100 people in high school, wasn't there, Gordon?
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah.
Typically, they were graduating around 35 when we came in as freshmen, but we only came in with 28
Yep.
and ended with 8.
What happened to those other 20?
I'm sorry.
What happened to 20? Are you still, can you still hear me, Gordon?
I didn't know what you meant about 20.
Well, there were 8 of us that graduated, and we started out with 28.
But that's right. Yeah.
You
Well,
know, if you really think about it, a generation before us, almost no one went to high school. If you got through the 8th grade, that was great. Unless you were going to be a teacher, a lawyer, a doctor, or something like that, you didn't go to high school. So that was still carrying on when we were in high school, a little bit of that.
A little bit, but we lost at least one to the military. And others, as they used to say in English, did you graduate? And the answer was, I quituated.
Well, I wanted to ask Jeremy. Jeremy, will John be on today?
John.
Uncle John has joined.
Oh, good, John. Good. Well, obviously, we want to ask him about the island of Maui. I've never been there, but I bet John has.
Oh yeah, boy, that's
John.
That's a worse disaster than we even know yet.
I imagine. Oh my gosh, it's just horrendous for sure.
My son Steve and his wife have been there, and they're just sick about it.
Yeah,
it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. It's emotionally bad. I mean, you hear stories. There was one this morning about the guy that got separated, went back and found his friend in the back seat, already dead, over his dog. He had lain down on top of his dog to protect him, but they both got. It's just horrid, and nobody's working on.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that you couldn't get in your vehicle and zoom out of the whole danger area, but the whole line of vehicles were.
If there's a big bunch of people trying to leave and there's vehicles in front of you and you can't move.
That's right. Yeah.
And 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts, right? That really made the blaze, spread quickly, right?
Went faster than the firefighters could do anything about it. It went so fast that some houses burned down and trees next to the houses survived because it didn't stay hot enough to cook the trees. Of course, most of the trees were killed, but
I just noticed that the renowned banyan tree is being watered, and they're trying to save it. I just saw that.
Remains to be seen how successful they'll be.
Yeah,
I hope it's saved, but it'd be nice if they saved something. But
yeah,
it was just ghastly.
Well, Uncle John, I don't know if you were on here last month. I was not, but I don't know if you talked about Lowell Weiker's passing. I know you sent me an email about that.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you recounted any of that.
I didn't talk about it because I don't think anybody else knew him.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I was really touched by that. I wish I could have got in touch with him again, but it didn't happen.
You did your best.
Yeah.
Now, John, is there any danger of that kind of fire on your island of Oahu?
Well, that was one of the concerns that we had when we were looking around to just decide where to buy. We looked at flood, we looked at landslides, we looked at overdevelopment and all that kind of stuff. And I looked at fire. And we're surrounded by houses. We don't have any large fields of dry grass or anything, but we do have a hillside full of bamboo. And I've seen the bamboo dry enough, right now, that if it caught fire, it would burn pretty hot. So I won't say I'm entirely safe, but I think it's a low risk. I got my hoses all hooked up so I can spray water if I need to. But if you got 80-mile-an-hour winds pushing a fire, garden hose is not going to help you much.
That effectively becomes a forge at that point, just like a blacksmith's forge.
Right.
I have not been to that island. I've only been to 2 of the islands, but wonderful country, but it does have its challenges, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, they were talking about the insurance companies that had low insurance rates for Maui because it was considered a very safe investment.
I'm assuming most of those folks that had property there did have homeowners insurance.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Yeah. What would you say the average price of a house in Lahaina would go for, John?
I have no idea. Average
Yeah.
price over here is $1 million, but I don't know whether that would be the same there.
Yeah.
And of course, Lahaina was an old historical whaler place. That's where the whale ships did their work. Yeah, it's pretty awful. One of Leslie's girlfriends from Samoa lives over there on Lahaina, and they've been in touch. They were well north of where all the fire was, so they escaped the fire. But you know, you escape the fire, but if everything around you burns down, it's still pretty damaging.
Yeah.
She's going to come and visit, I think, Wednesday. So she'll be here at the house. We'll hear her recital of the experiences.
Hey, Mel, how are you?
Oh, just fine.
Okay.
Well, there's
I'm
Melvin.
glad that link I just sent worked for you, Melvin, or you figured
Yes, it did.
out something else. Okay, great.
It worked.
Now, Uncle John,
So what
I
did
learned something new a few days ago that Uncle Paul, your Uncle Paul was his middle name.
Arthur Paul. His middle name was Paul.
Yeah, I never knew that. I never knew he was named after his dad, right? And so Arthur Paul was his middle name. So Nancy Flanigan posted on Facebook a picture of Uncle Paul. I want to say it was 1921 in high school that I had never seen before. I mean, it was a group picture, but she posted that on Facebook, and I tagged you on it, hoping that you'd get some notification and be able to see it.
I did see it. Yeah.
Had you ever seen that picture before?
I think I have seen it. I'm not sure. I can't place it, but
Gotcha.
Is that Paoli High School or English High School?
well, it's English.
Okay. What was the name of the Flanigan that lived at Paoli, John?
What was the name of what?
Of the Flanigan that lived at Paoli?
Carl.
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 How was he related to you?
He was a brother to Paul,
Oh,
and to Martha Jane. Carl Tower. His middle name was Tower,
Tower.
which was grandmother's maiden name.
And he had a son that was about your or my age. What was the son's name?
Larry.
Larry. Is he still with us?
No,
Oh.
he was a professor of computer science at University of Michigan, but he got pancreatic cancer.
Oh boy. Yeah.
And his sister Lynn is still here on Oahu. She's a lawyer.
I was just trying to remember some names from our youth. Whatever happened to Ernie Scout? Remember him? Didn't he get an Air Force cadets or something?
I remember Ernie, but I don't have any idea what happened to. I think he came to one of our reunions down at Sycamore Springs, if I remember.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I can fill in a little bit here. Ernie, yesterday he gave me a call.
Wow, okay.
He'd heard about this. He heard about the school reunion. He's planning on coming. He was living in Jasper, but he's moved further west at a little town called Velpin or something like that. Velpin. I think I've heard of it. 15 or 20 miles west of Jasper.
Still in Indiana?
Yeah, yeah.
Delphin. I don't know that town.
Anyway, the story I heard was that he actually qualified for Air Force cadets and was enrolled, but then he got back late from a pass one time and they washed him out because of that. They're very unforgiving.
I think that's right.
Oh, I don't know.
I signed up for that to apply to that when I was 19, and I was worried about the coordination tests. There were 3 tests: the coordination, the mental, and the physical. And I passed the mental, obviously, and the coordination. I thought, oh, I'm home free, just the physical. And all of a sudden, these doctors were hovering over me, and they claimed I had a heart murmur and washed me out.
Oh,
Ironically, I was in the infantry, peacetime infantry, carrying packs up mountains with my so-called heart murmur, and seeing fighter jet planes flying overhead. I thought that was kind of ironic.
I requested that when I enlisted, but they washed me out because of my history of having my head beat up when I got hit by the car. Since I had fractured skull, and that they just wouldn't take a chance on putting me in a cockpit.
You guys remember a kid named Tommy Shuck from around English?
Tommy Shuck, yeah, and his
yeah.
June. I didn't, I mean, I wasn't close friends with him or anything, because I remember he was kind of a troubled kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I happened to be standing around with him someplace, not at school. And he takes out this pocket knife, and it had a little, like an ice pick blade on it, but a short one, only an inch or 2 long, like, punch a hole in leather or something. And he takes that and pushes it all the way through his thumb. And I thought, oh my gosh, and he looks at me triumphantly, like, you see how tough I am? And I never saw much more of him after that. I heard he's like that, sent to reform school or something. I don't know.
You say his name was Shuck?
Tommy Shuck, S-H-U-C.
That's a funny name in itself.
Yeah, right.
I belonged to the American Legion in 2 other states, and I recently joined here in Indiana, and I transferred my membership to Post 113 here in Lebanon. And today we had a car show, and we had a meal that was to be sold. And I asked the commander what I could do, and with my last name, I got assigned to Shuck and Corn.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Made for the job.
Yeah, I was went up north for about a week one time in northern Indiana when I was 16, along with Ronnie Kissel and some other people, to not to shuck corn, but to detassel corn. Boy, that's a nasty job.
That's terrible.
That's demanding. But anyway, by the way, anybody hear anything about Ronnie Kissel? I haven't heard from him for a while.
I haven't heard from him for a while. Gordon, have you?
I have not really heard directly from him. I occasionally see his daughter's posts on Facebook and that kind of thing. I did have, within the past month or 2, a comment made to something I had posted. So he's still there.
Yeah.
Someplace in the South, isn't he?
You know any of these guys?
Yeah, he was. I want to say Georgia.
Sounds right.
Ron Kissel, right?
Right.
I think, right.
Right.
Any of you guys know my daughter?
Oh, there's Jeremy.
Oh, you're
Hi.
Hey, Leslie.
Hi.
I didn't know you were there. I thought your dad said that you were coming, but he was talking about your friend. Your childhood friend is coming to visit you guys soon. Gotcha.
Yeah, I live here now. I moved here.
Oh,
She's
fantastic.
not mine,
Well,
but
Yes, I'm.
very, very good. Although, yeah, we were just talking about, of course, everything going on nearby you.
Oh yeah, awful.
What about the Big Island? You didn't mention anything about the Big Island. Is it?
there were some fires there too, but they didn't do the kind of damage they did on Maui.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John,
We were
is that your favorite daughter, John?
That's my favorite daughter.
Favorite and only.
we We were just in Lahaina in December to celebrate my wife's 80th birthday. She had
Oh,
the
wow.
bad judgment to be born on December 26th. So she
Oh,
got the
my.
short end of the stick when it came to birthday celebrations all her life. So we arranged a really big one there. And I have a photograph of my grandson by that
Mm.
By what?
banyan tree. We were obviously somewhat stunned to see the damage.
yeah.
My wife's birthday was Christmas Day.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay.
And when her brother passed away, he left us a 15-year-old boy, John, and his birthday was Christmas Day as well.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Well, even January 8th, I always got this thing about, well, here's a present for Christmas and your birthday both. And I can
Yeah,
imagine
right.
what happens when your birthday is on Christmas.
They're hoping the banyan tree will survive. It's scorched, but they think they might be able to save it.
I would hope so. It has a lot of moisture inside it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was one of the effects of the fire blowing by so fast. It didn't stick around to cook the moisture out of all of the trees if they were big enough.
How you doing, Granddad? I saw that you joined there. You're being quiet and just listening.
You hear Jeremy's asking you a question.
What was the question?
I'm just saying hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Pretty good.
I'm gonna go back to hanging up my clothes. It was good to see you guys.
Okay.
You too, Leslie. Hey, Vic, I had a phone conversation a couple days ago with a neighbor of yours. I don't know if you've seen him since, but hopefully he'll remember to mention that I said hello. This is Bob Smith. Does that ring a bell?
Bob Smith?
Yeah. And well, he goes by Bob, but that's not his actual first name. But he's a retired attorney. I think he lives in your development and is involved, I want to say, with the Floyd County Historical Society. He had written a book about Davis Floyd, and he was telling me about that. You know who I mean?
Bill Smith.
Bill Smith, that's it. Yeah.
He's a retired attorney from Jeffersonville. Yeah, he just lives about 6 or 7 units down from me. Yeah.
Well, he mentioned where
how do you
he
know
mentioned
him?
where he lives, and I thought that was your neighborhood, but he contacted me. I'm among other things, I do marketing for Southern Indiana Living magazine, and and he contacted me with respect to that. So we had a nice impromptu conversation, and he was bragging on the fire museum.
Okay, yeah. He's an interesting guy. He was the attorney for the Clark County Airport when it was in its development stage, maybe 35 or 40 years ago. And he knows all about, he helped author a book called Wings Over Southern Indiana. And he gave me a copy of it. It's about all the little airports that were around 50, 60 years ago that have long since been forgotten.
Wow, that's neat.
Yeah, it is very neat.
My experience with attorneys would indicate that Bill is a good first name for him.
I get that. One of the things that is in the book, and I'd known about it before that, is that back in the early days of flying, in like 1920, 21, the US government started airmail. Well, there was no radar. You flew by the seat of your pants. So the US government built towers about every 15 miles apart, running out of Louisville all the way to Chicago. And some of those towers are still standing. There's one in Sellersburg. That was the first one on a straight line coming out of Louisville. They were all over the country. They're about 50 feet tall, and they have a gas, in the early days was gasoline powered light that shone very brightly. And some of them are still around. The one in the edge of Sellersburg is still there. There's one in the Clark County Forest, and you go up the line and you'll still find them. And they were all over the United States. There were several thousand of them. But later on, they were outmoded by new kinds of inventions, and they shut them all down. Most of them were torn down. But he's an expert on that too.
Thought I'd read some stories about how in the early days some of the pilots used to navigate by flying along the highway with a road map in their lap, following the highway.
That's what they call IFR, I follow roads.
Oh, I see.
My oldest brother Bob bought an airplane, and he got his pilot's license through the GI Bill. And when he'd go on to New Orleans or Connecticut, he'd go by road maps. Even that was in the probably early 60s. He was still flying by road maps. And if he got lost, he would circle around, look at a town, look for the water tower. Usually it had the name on the water tower.
There's a communications tower just north of me, and it's 199 feet high, because if it had been 200 feet, it would be required that he have a light on top of it. So
really,
that 1 foot makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I saw a job the other day that some of you guys might be interested in. This guy, once a year, climbs tall TV towers. I mean, I'm talking about the real tall ones, maybe 1,000 or more feet high, changes the light bulbs, and he makes $20,000 for each climb.
Oh,
That's pretty lucrative, isn't it?
With my luck, I'd forget the bulb.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Does it take him a week to climb up and down?
I don't know. Not a week probably, but I bet he goes up in nice weather. He doesn't go when it's real windy.
I bet he doesn't.
Be pretty fit to do that.
Also, if you go up 75 feet, you might as well go up 775 feet, because it's going to be the same result if you fall. So Melvin, what's been going on out in California?
Well, nothing, and that's good news because there's no particular fires here yet. There's a lot of foliage built up from the rains we had in the fall, so it's probably coming. But we're halfway through one of the 3 hottest months of the year. It hasn't been much of a problem yet, but still some significant danger to come.
Yeah. Are you near a wooded area, Melvin?
No, not really. We're in a settled area with tile roofs. Our immediate home is not in any danger. In past fires, we've been close enough to smell smoke, and but nothing directly be worried about our own house.
Yeah.
I have something that might be of interest to you. I was in Chicago Friday for the usual Shriners Hospital board meetings, and it was a very good meeting. They had they had a family there, a man, wife, and their 2 children. The little girl was born with a cleft lip and palate, and was treated at her hospital. 3 years later, a little boy was born, and he had a bilateral cleft, and they both look great now. But that's the kind of work our hospitals do that I'm proud to be part of it. I've always felt blessed to be involved with it. But that is a very low percentage of people who have more than one child with cleft lip and palate. And it's some insurance companies have liked to say that really just cosmetic surgery, and it certainly is not just that. It involves your speech and self-esteem and many other things. But our doctors have a team approach, and the parents really appreciate the fact that they explain everything up front. And this family has volunteered to be mentors for parents of children with cleft lip and palate to help them through the mental anguish of it. But I was very impressed with the speech that she, of course, to top it all off, the surgeon who did the work for both of those children was one of the major speakers, and he got up and talked about the details of that kind of surgery, what really is involved in it. And the family now brings in candy for the hospital staff anytime they come in. So this doctor had candy for these two kids. And he had little dinosaurs for the boys, and he had some kind of princess candy for the girl. So I just thought you might be interested in knowing that it's a very low incidence of two in a family, but it happened to them.
It's really such a benefit. It makes a child's life so much better throughout their entire life, and such a tremendous investment for I would guess not a ridiculously expensive process to do.
It would be well over $50,000 if they all paid for it. We do accept insurance if they have insurance now, but if they don't have insurance, we give the same level of treatment at no charge. Some years ago, back when we were actually taking paper applications for treatment, a young couple here in Lebanon had a brother who was a Mason, and he knew me, and he called me and said that his brother and sister-in-law were expecting a child, and they knew that it would have a bilateral cleft palate. And so I said, come see me, and they brought me a CD that had about 200 3D sonogram images showing the cleft, and I took that child's application for treatment before he was born. Now he plays baseball, and you can't even tell that he's had the surgery.
That's great. Yeah, I remember. I think remember the twin girls, the Allen girls, Lila and Lola.
Right.
Allen. Poor Lila, her eyes were crossed. Now can they correct those today? I think they can, can't they?
I would suppose there is a possibility. I'm no expert on that, and that's not a thing that our hospitals treat. But you can do so much with eyes today. You know, I've had cataract surgery and laser surgery. It's just fantastic. I was talking recently with someone about the great strides that have been made in not only medicine, but a lot of other things over the past 50 or 60 years. And I remember, Vic, when we were still in high school, in 1950, there was news that doctors were experimenting with slitting the pericardium, putting silica sand inside that, suturing it up, hoping that pulsation of the heart would lacerate new blood passages.
Oh,
now,
boy.
how barbaric is that? It obviously didn't work. Well, I guess everybody needs a hobby.
Yeah.
But I just happen to remember that from 1950. And I remember John Flanigan's license plate, number 2.
Number 2?
No, it also.
Oh, okay. Oh,
ZG 552. That's what it was.
That's right.
how do you remember that, Gordon?
If I could get rid of that, I could have something useful in my mind. I know.
Oh,
You know, one benefit that would not to worry about later was the elimination of polio. Now, I know that was not an issue in Crawford County, but it was in New Albany certainly at the time.
And that was
What?
the ailment that caused the creation of the Shriners hospitals.
Oh, really?
Yes.
boy.
And it's far more than that now, but you don't hear of
Wow.
very many polio cases anymore.
You know, kids would be in an iron lung, you know, instead of coming to school next year.
Right.
Has anyone heard from Bob Roberts or Robert Mason?
Not me.
Just curious.
Well, they were on last month, right?
I don't know.
I once in a while see a Facebook posting from Tim Eade, but I haven't heard from him for a little while.
Well, it looks like we're coming up on the last few minutes
Yeah.
before getting
Getting
zapped
abruptly
off.
terminated.
Yeah.
3
Oh,
minutes,
yeah.
3 minutes to go. Yeah.
If you can see this, I'll tell you that this is one of the things they gave us at the meeting. It's a plastic femur, and it's a ballpoint pen, but
Oh,
there's,
shoot.
there's the ball for the hip.
Oh, shoot.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, gosh.
So I can say I'm a hip individual now.
You
Okay.
are.
Well, 2
As well
minutes
as
to go,
a
so
as well as
I'll
a
say goodbye to
stand-up
everybody.
comedian.
Okay, well, good
Well-
to see you guys again.
Yeah. Good seeing all of you. Thanks for the warning, Jeremy. It's a little less abrupt that way instead of just the dark screen.
Yeah, I
Okay,
have
take care.
I have a
Good
little
to
more
visit.
insight.
Good to visit
All
with
right.
you all.
Bye,
Take care.
everybody.
See you guys next
All right.
month.
Gordon,
Bye-bye.
we'll talk, Gordon, okay?
Good. Okay.
Take care.
Okay.
Take care,
All right.
y'all.
Bye, Uncle John. Bye, Granddad.
Bye-bye.
Bye.